So hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to Project Managers Without Borders webinar, Discovering PMWB's Water Projects. On the line is Deanna Landers, founder of PMWB. And hello. And some of the team members who've been working on the water project, the Water Rico project, is what we'll be focusing on in the next half hour. And the idea is to give you guys a sense of what's going on, the front of lines with all the different projects with PMWB, so that if you have any questions or you want to get involved further, that you can reach out and you have an idea of the story of what the strategy is for the different projects that are making a difference in the world. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Let me just try. I'm trying to move this presentation along and it doesn't seem to want to work. So the Water Rico project team is made up of, I believe, Mark Garfinkel, who's not here with us today. He is with the Rotary Club, and that's a partner for this project with PMWB. Ralph Ogden, Lisa Goldsworthy, who is here on the line with us as well, Eric Schemp, who is on the line, Corey Kaysen, who was previously a volunteer on this project, Sean Hearn, who has just joined us, and on the line we have Deanna Landers, founder of PMWB. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So I want to start just real quickly. If Deanna, you can tell us a little bit, why are water projects important for PMWB's current strategy?
Well, our PMWB's mission is to make a positive difference in the world through collaborative and sustainable projects. And it's basically making the world a better place through project management. And what we found early on was that we could do any kind of a project. You know, the world is full of all sorts of people who are happy to make a difference in the world, but they're really good at what they do. They've got all this passion, but they aren't necessarily great at running the projects that they need to run to make a difference. And so we found that if we're able to concentrate in just one area, then we can make more of a difference to people that need it. And so from our perspective, we're looking at scalability from a strategy perspective, and water is such an important part of the world economics and situation. When you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, it's number 6. And because we're focusing on water versus anything else, or at least one area, then we actually gain the skills and the knowledge in that space that we didn't necessarily have before. So with that focus, we're able to make more of a difference, just like with anything else. If your resources and focus are spread thin, then you can't really focus and you can't make as much of a difference.
Great. What is the relationship between PMWB and its partners? We did mention that Mark is with the Rotary Club, and a lot of the on-site work that's been done with the Water Rico project has been done with the Rotary Club and their members. How did that come about, and how do PMWB volunteers work into that relationship?
Well, out of the list that you showed earlier, Mark and Ralph both are with the Rotary Club, and the way that works is that Project Managers Without Borders partners with other not-for-profit humanitarian organizations because they have the skills and the connections typically, and perhaps funding or some sort of a focus where they want to do something in particular. So they've got that guiding light, and we join forces with them to help them in the project management space. And so in this case and in others, we connect with them. They've got, in other cases, they actually had the project already. In this particular case, and I'm going to save a little bit of this for the team to talk about. In this particular case, we connected with this partner, and they just had a concept of what they wanted to do, but they didn't already have the project defined. And so when we move forward, we learn what the different needs are of the organizations. It could be that they need us to focus on facilitation and keeping them on track, or it could mean that they really need us to help them define the project, or learn how to do project management as we leave their project, help them understand how to take that concept forward so that they're sustainable and we are not involved forever. So there are lots of ways to get involved, and that relationship could look relatively different, but in all the cases, we're combining our efforts and helping them improve their abilities in project management and for when we're not there, and then also supporting their particular projects that we're involved with.
So it really does keep the focus on project management without Managers Without Borders on the project management aspect of it. It's the expertise of the volunteers, and we're not asking our volunteers to go out and expect them to have different skills than the expertise that they're already signed on to share. So I saw that a lot too while traveling, was the idea that there are people who really want to do something good, but they sometimes don't know where to start, or they have a great project idea but don't know how to scope it out, and they need a couple hours of a volunteer project manager expert who's just going to, walk them through that process.
Exactly, right. And so we actually have, there are spots are available or opportunities for people that don't have project management skills in Project Managers Without Borders, for instance, editing or marketing or something like that. But in the project space, we tend to have project managers, and we could bring in other skills if those are needed. So as a matter of fact, a relevant example is there are some requests for some social media. And so we have that happening, and because we have a good base of volunteers. But you're absolutely right. The volunteers that are working on projects, they're using their skills that they have in project management to make the organization, the humanitarian organization that we're partnered with, more efficient and effective in their space.
And I think that's absolutely, you can look for volunteers in social media and marketing, and they're still project managers, because project management is across all these different industries, and people approach, they all have this common language and this way of approaching how to get something done, but they have an experience in a different area. So it's a really fascinating way of drawing volunteers from this pool of resources of people who are project managers, but who have expertise in marketing, communications, engineering, IT.
Absolutely.
So we'll pass the mic to some other team members, Eric or Lisa, if you want to talk about the current project, the Water Rico project. Can you tell us a little bit more about this specific project and what its goals are, what its scope is, and what your roles are?
Sure, I'll jump in here first. The Water Rico project, it really was more of an evolutionary process, and trying to understand what the Rotary Club and what Mark and Ralph had in mind and what their goals were. And I think there was a learning experience for all of us in that regard. We had to sit down and we had to define in very standard project management methodology what are the requirements, what's must have, and what's nice to have in terms of developing the ideas for the project. And as we went through this process, we understood that we wanted to do a water project. What that meant, we weren't quite sure. Perhaps it was providing clean water to a group of people. Perhaps it was digging a well. We weren't quite sure in the very beginning stages what we wanted to do. One of the other requirements was that the location had to be close, so that we could get members from the Rotary Club there pretty easily. And then obviously another requirement was that the environment in the country that we worked with had to be safe. So we did a lot of research through resources online and through the UN and whatnot to understand what regions and what areas and what parts of the world were safe. And so putting all these pieces together and slowly working through it, we looked at a bunch of different countries and we slowly started to narrow it down. And then we looked at some countries in South America, then we looked at Mexico, and we were very interested in working in Mexico actually. But then through doing some work and some research, we realized that Puerto Rico was probably the best region for us to be working in. And so we started developing the model and the concept for what we wanted to do. Again, it was still just a water project, but we wanted to define what that meant. And after going through and doing more and more research and finding contacts, connecting with people, organizations and people there, we came upon the realization that what is really needed is getting people clean water. That's what we wanted to focus on. And we went through a couple different options, but we eventually settled on water filtration systems. So it was this entire learning curve, this exploratory process, and working with Rotary Club, and as Deanna said, bringing in our skills as project managers to help define exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And then through these, it's been over 1.5 years, and through steady progress, we've been able to come up with what we have today.
I'm hearing a lot about a role that's a lot based in research and communication. The project managers, you're the ones who are helping them scope out what their project's going to look like, but you're also doing the research and narrowing things down that's going to, and communicating with partners and other contacts that's going to help them realize their project.
Exactly, because there's multiple stakeholders involved, and we need to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that we communicate our goals and objectives across the board.
How did the storm in Puerto Rico affect your decision to start the project there?
Lisa, do you want to take this one? Or I can jump in.
Sure. Thanks, Eric. That was terrific. So in our exploration of the different countries, as Eric mentioned, we were really focusing on Mexico quite a bit, and we found some regions, and we found one in particular that we thought was going to be it. When we were getting really close to even setting up some travel arrangements, I think Mark was thinking about setting up travel arrangements to the region of Mexico. We had some sort of unknowns come up, so it kind of took us back to researching regions, and that's when it was just a conversation between us, and I said, gosh, what about, Puerto Rico? I mean, we were hearing so much about it's still in really dire situation as far as electricity and water, and that's really what was sort of the light bulb coming on for us of saying, oh yeah, this is, they need it. And so that's how we came up with that country.
Excellent. What have you learned or gained from the specific experience of working with the Water Rico project? Lisa, I'll let you start, and then Eric can answer next.
It's been amazing. Of course, not only gained a lot of knowledge from the other team members, and Eric has had a lot of experience globally, so I've learned a great deal from him. And the research, was interesting. It brought out a lot of strengths. Volunteering for the project is, obviously, we all have different areas of expertise, and so it really has been nice to see that come into play. So patience and just keeping at it, especially when we were trying to find a region. But it was such a wonderful group of people, and still is, obviously, that when we do get together, we walk away with renewed energy and knowing that we're making a difference. Hope that helps.
Yeah, Eric, do you have anything to add?
Sure. For me, I think it's primarily, the whole thing is just a very enjoyable experience. When we're in our offices and we're working in project management, we kind of get set in our ways, and there's business requirements to gather, and we're trying to solve business problems, and we're trying to put pieces together. And to be able to take a step back and work with people that have big dreams and big visions and help extract these ideas out of them and put the pieces together and help them mold what their ideas are, I think it's a real rewarding experience, because we're the project managers. They're the ones that have the ideas. We just need to help them mold this and shape this and create what they want to do. And for me, that's the best part of it. That's the learning experience there. We're dealing with a completely different set of people that have big visions, and it's just an enjoyable experience to help them make those pieces come together.
Wow. Deanna, is there anything you'd like to add to this as well? Oh, maybe she's on mute.
Yep, sorry about that.
Oh, you're there?
I was on mute. Yeah, sorry about that.
Is there
I
anything
had a great point.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so to get anything in the world done, anything that's unique or innovative requires project management. And so when we can have the opportunity to focus on humanitarian endeavors, it really is rewarding. As Eric pointed out, we do this all the time. We're at work and we're employing these skills, but being able to turn these skills, point them, focus them on a sector that really needs it and a sector that focuses on and supports the people in need is really rewarding. And as Lisa had pointed out too, they're absolutely wonderful people that we're working with. Everybody is interested in making the world a better place, and we're interested in doing that through project management, through the skills that we have, and it's just absolutely rewarding from my perspective to see the partners and how much they're appreciative of our efforts, and to see the people who actually end up benefiting in the end from the initiative.
I think that does bring me straight to the next question, and I'll try to make it a bit more specific, is how is this project making the world a better place through project management? More specifically, is this the first water project, and is it going to be the first of many?
Well, it's not the first water project. We've had 2 water projects, well, actually multiple. We've had 3 that have completed besides this one. And 2 of them were with Engineers Without Borders, and those were irrigation in Ecuador, and then there was another, so there was irrigation in Ecuador, and there was also potable water in Ecuador, 2 different projects with Engineers Without Borders. And then there was one that was to help in the city of Accra in Ghana with their flooding problem. They have an annual flooding problem, and what we did is we put together a plan, an understanding of who all the stakeholders were, so that the stakeholders could understand who they all were, what the whole scope of the problem was, and we put together some suggestions for moving forward as well. And that effort had a much broader group of people involved. There were at least 20 different volunteers throughout the European area. And so they met in different places. Sometimes they were in person. Sometimes there were people that joined remotely. I was a part of a meeting in Ghana, and I didn't actually travel there. I was just there on Skype in the beginning of it, in a hotel conference center where a bunch of people were working on the problem. And so they're all very different because the world is full of all sorts of different challenges, and they're, of course, not all the same. So this is not the first, and it's not the last either, and it's just an exciting current project that we're working on.
And ultimately, these are all contributing to a larger strategy, which is basically to have an expertise in water projects from a project management point of view.
Exactly, and we're also talking about expanding our organization into something like chapters where we might have a group that's in a different country or a different place that focuses on perhaps a different sustainable development goal. I know that there's a woman in Germany who's looking at some women's issues, which is a different sustainable development goal, and that's fine. That's absolutely wonderful, because PMWB right now is water, but there's so much other need in the world, and there are so many other people with project management skills that could help out. And so it's exciting to see that growth and that expansion into other areas. But for now, this group that we're dealing with that is based, a lot of it is based in Denver, but not everybody is in Denver, or focusing on the water projects.
I guess I'll throw this question out to Lisa, and then to Eric. What has been the most rewarding part of your volunteer experience with this project?
I would say definitely the camaraderie and being able to offer our expertise to the Rotary, since we do come from different backgrounds. Obviously, we all are in project management, but we all have different skill sets, so that's been really rewarding, and seeing it come to fruition. So with Mark going out there and having first success and documenting lessons learned, really feel like we've made some excellent progress.
Mm-hmm. Eric, do you have anything to add?
Sure. I completely concur with what Lisa said. The greatest, the most rewarding experience is looking at these pictures and seeing the pictures, like as a picture describes 1,000 words, and just knowing all these baby steps that we took along the way, and then having the team go out to the country and start implementing this, and understanding that we actually played a role in that, and seeing the whole thing to come to fruition, as Lisa said. I think it's just a really rewarding experience.
Great. I think it's.
And I want to respond to that too, just a little bit. You know, looking at some of those pictures, as Eric was pointing out, we were part of it. Not only were we part of it, we actually got to be involved in the prototype of the first water filter, and we got to make some excellent mistakes that we learned from, and then made the next one better, and then the next one better. And so when we see them on site in Puerto Rico, we can see, oh, look at how they improved on that part that we ran into, and that sort of thing. And so though we weren't actually physically there on that first trip, it's absolutely wonderful to see them. You know, you can see that that's in this picture that's up on now, there's a water filter right there, and you can see the hose where it comes from, and that they put a cap on that was metal because of some issues that we had seen earlier. So that's absolutely rewarding to see it happening, and to see the happy faces of the people who are benefiting from it.
There's definitely a hands-on, it's definitely rewarding, and a very nice to see sort of a hands-on, see your project become something physical, you know, to go from research and where to actually seeing people use something that you helped create, that you helped scope out, and that wouldn't be there without the project management expertise that you contributed. And I think the fact that you guys are all volunteers and are doing this in your free time, there's a good reason for that. I think there's a lot of value and a lot of meaning that being able to share your expertise in something that you do every day, which is project management, for an even greater good. And I truly believe that as well. So thank you all for your contribution, for making this project a reality. And I'm hoping that people have learned a bit more about what the Water Rico project is, what the association, what project management's relationship is to its partners. And I have another question, one last question for all three of you, is what advice would you give to someone who's looking to volunteer with project management expertise? What would you tell them would be a first step, or what would you tell them about their expectations?
Well, I'll jump in here. I guess for expectations, it's an exploratory process and keeping all options open. And then I think as Deanna said in her last response, that things don't go perfectly. We had to go through the lessons learned process, rethink about the work we were doing and how to redesign some of the water filters, and just keep going at it. And I think that's one of the biggest camaraderie components here, is that we're coming together, we're trying to solve a problem together. It's not going to go perfectly the first time, and we just have to stick to it and keep going. And with that attitude, a volunteer will be successful. If a volunteer expects to come in and change the world in 1 minute, it's probably not going to happen. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and working with other people to make those reality. But in the end, it's definitely worth it.
It takes perseverance and communication skills.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lisa, do you wanna add something,
Sure.
some advice, a piece of advice for a future volunteer?
Sure. As in life, everything changes, and so yeah, just being able to roll with it and know that it's a journey. When you start out thinking you're going to do something, you may find yourself in a completely different path as you go through the journey of exploration and guiding the stakeholders through that. But yeah, just patience, persistence, and camaraderie. Are key quality traits.
Deanna, do you have another piece of advice for future volunteers?
Sure. Yeah, so I would say that there are lots of ways that one can use project management skills and knowledge and experience to help in the humanitarian space from a volunteer perspective. And obviously, Project Managers Without Borders is one way that somebody can get involved. We don't necessarily have open projects ready for a project manager all the time. There are other roles, but there are also lots of opportunities to volunteer with project management skills beyond that. There are PMI chapters, there are PMI events, there are organizations that you're probably already involved with, like churches or a boys club, or lots of other humanitarian organizations, or even non-humanitarian organizations, just where you have interests. And so just recognizing that the project management skills are applicable everywhere, and you can apply them in so many ways if you do what Lisa and Eric said, is you just have some flexibility and understand figuring out what is it that this organization can do with my skills. What is the most valuable thing that I can share out of my project management repertoire that would help this organization, or even these people, if you have the opportunity to know some beneficiaries who could use direct help in that way. So I would say that keeping your eyes open to opportunities if you want to volunteer with your skills is essential, because the opportunity is all over the place, and these skills are so valuable that I think it's wonderful that people are considering and actually volunteering their time. And I want to point out also that I really appreciate Lisa and Eric and Corey, who was on the project before, for all of their support in this, because obviously we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today without their help and support and focus skills.
Yeah. I think that I've discovered so many people just by having random conversations about what they're doing in life and what they're doing good, and any humanitarian projects or social projects, and you start having a conversation with them, and they'll say, oh yeah, we really need someone who's going to help us do this. And almost all the time it's project management related expertise. And I can always picture, a project manager who's able to give, 2-3 hours of their time to sit down with this person and point them in the right direction sometimes is enough to just get the ball rolling again. And I think that project management expertise is so limitless that it can apply to just about everywhere. So we didn't do this in the beginning, but Eric, what's your background in project management? What industry do you work in?
My background I've been working in project management for close to 15 years, and I've worked with quite a few nonprofits and NGOs throughout the world, and so that's where the humanitarian background comes in. And I actually work for the American Water Works Association right now, so there is a water connection here, but my background's primarily been in project management and helping these projects become a reality.
Lisa, what's your background? How do you apply project management in what industry in your regular real life?
My career is in the film and television industry, and so I discovered that basically what I do in that industry is project management, which led me to studying and getting my PMP almost 3 years ago, I think it is now. So film and TV.
Wow. So it's the diversity of project management is always so just amazing to me. And I think the more people that realize that project management skills can go anywhere, it's such a transversal profession that you can start in one industry, end up in another, and be helping in a humanitarian cause. And I think that's excellent. And I'd like to thank you all for your time today. Thank you so much for logging in, for contributing. And that's about it. We'll wrap it up so everyone can go back to work. And I really appreciate your time. I've recorded this session. I'm hoping that we can create some content that will go connect back to this, and we can share this webinar with other volunteers so they can learn more about it. With anybody who's looking to maybe get involved or become a volunteer, you can go to pmwb.org and click Get Involved, or reach out via Facebook, and we can provide more information to you. Any final words or final thoughts from the team?
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Deanna, for your dedication and support through all this as well. Really honored to be a part of this organization and appreciate all that you do. And right back at you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
And that's the whole point. It's a team effort, right?
Yep, it's a team effort. Exactly.
Great. And thank you, Aliki, for moderating and making this happen.
My pleasure. It's a team effort. I couldn't have done any of it without you. Thank you all, and I wish you all a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.